Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Compx. This is their part number C8252, and this is what would be called a furniture lock. This is positively, well, it's technically 17th century technology. I'm pretty sure that's fairly accurate, in the sense that the key is extremely simple in its design. It's nothing other than a tool that just pushes what would be, well, I'll call it a lever tumbler. It's the device that the key actually acts on to facilitate the movement of the bolt, let's say. And that's what this is. Very simple sort of item that you're gonna find. You know, this material, this type of lock is most absolutely in 19th century catalogs that I'm sure that I'd be able to produce. So what is it? Well, it's a furniture lock, and a furniture lock is basically just something that's going to keep something like a glass door closed in a piece of furniture. You might have, not to say collectibles, but certain pieces of cherished keepsakes within a piece of woodwork, a cabinet, or some furniture, and this lock allows you to do that. So let's take some basic dimensional properties and we'll talk about how it functions. The faceplate's about 2 1/8. The width of the faceplate is about, it looks like it's 5/16. The entire depth of the body, about 1 1/8 inches. Its width, about 1 inch. Its thickness, just shy on 3/8. The projection of the bolt, just shy on a 1/4 inch. Here's the keys. Most people will call this just simply a skeleton key. This is called a pipe key or a barrel key. It has a bit on it. There's a hollow point there. That means that this key will rest into a pin that will be inside of the lock case. It even has a ward cut right here, which is that notch. This lock may or may not require a ward cut. A ward is a blockage. Think of the key that you use to enter your house every day, assuming you're using a mechanical key. If you aren't using a mechanical key, there's very likely a backup mechanical key to that electronic lock. But the way that the key is shaped, if you look at the edge of your key, okay, it is paracentric. That describes the shape of the key. If you look inside the cylinder, those projections that cut into the center line of the broaching of the cylinder that require the key to be shaped like this, those are called wards. The milling on the key blank is meant to pass or bypass those wards. And the key inserts into the cylinder, bypassing the wards, acting on the tumblers, which allows you to effect change of the state of the lock. It's going to include a strike plate, as seen here. We'll take some basic dimensional properties of this as well. About 2 1/8. I think it's about the same size as the faceplate, actually. In fact, it is. It's identical to the faceplate size. I have it stacked on top of there. Okay, so the same size. We'll include 4 very small screws, 2 for the strike and 2 for the lock body. Now, the handing of this lock is, my understanding of the handing of this lock is based on a direct conversation with the manufacturer. There is a video below this serving as record of that conversation, and let's talk about the handing of this lock now. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. So the way that the manufacturer hands the lock is, the way that the manufacturer stated it was locked to unlock. And I was told that when you're in the locked position, okay, the direction that you rotate the key to unlock is the hand of the lock. So you take the key and you put it into the locked position. You can only turn it one way to lock and one way to unlock. That's locked. When I insert that key, and there's that pin I mentioned earlier, and that pipe key or barrel key is going to go right over that, I have to rotate this clockwise or to the right to unlock it. By the definition, based on the conversation I had with the manufacturer, this is a right hand. Okay. I sure hope that's not wrong. I don't believe it's wrong, but nonetheless, you'll be able to install it in this orientation or this orientation. Okay. You know, regardless of how you have it, you know, installed, you're rotating the key to the right to unlock. And that's what this is going to be used for. Furniture applications, you'll see them all the time. Pretty typical residential type applications. You're not going to see a lock like this really in commercial applications because, quite honestly, bypassing this lock would be extremely simple to bypass this lock. It wouldn't take any work to really get that lock to unlock. It would, you know, so it'd be extreme low security. So you won't see it in commercial applications because you won't have someone in the payroll department or in human resources of a Fortune 500 company running around with barrel bit key locks like this. Not much security. They're locking up personnel files. So again, very extreme low security when you just want to keep the door latched. Actually, the client that we're selling these to, he just wants to keep them in the secured position because lives in earthquake country on the West Coast in California, and literally told us, I just need to keep those doors closed, and I want to be reasonably sure that in the event everything starts bouncing around, that door's not going to swing open. That's the purpose of this client buying these. Let's switch to the screen view and let's take a closer look at all the supporting documentation. Here is the item that we are looking at. This is a stock image, and I would say that this appears to be the proper item as shown, right hand. I have some other images. Let's take a look at them. So I guess a way to cheat is when you're in the locked position. Well, when the mechanism, the lever tumbler is on the right side when you view it, we're going to call that a right hand. The point being is this is never over here when it's a right hand. It would be neat to take that apart, just drill that rivet out and remove the cover and then re-rivet it. I'm going to forego doing that only because, you know, it'd be a bit anticlimactic to actually do that. When the key is inserted, the bit is going to act on the lever tumbler inside of here. It's going to obviously push it out a little bit so that the bolt can be retracted, because when it's in the lock position, and you push your finger on this, it doesn't allow you to push that bolt in. It's secured there. It's a dead bolt. The backside. Your key, that's the bit, that's the ward cut. There does not appear to be a ward inside of here. Now a ward, so that in your mind's eye, that key is going to fit over this. Well, that ward cut, if there was a raised circle of material here inside the lock case, and it's extremely common in other bit style keys, that would be called a ward, and you'd need a ward cut in the key to get around that. And in, I believe, even 17th century technology, 17, 18, 19th century technology, you'll see very intricate wards and ward cuts on keys, because that was the security. If you can use any tool to act as the key, or the key is nothing other than an instrument that bypasses the ward, bypasses the blockage in the cylinder, you've got a working key. It could look like a piece of wire or a screwdriver, you know, anything like that, really. And not difficult to bypass. I literally just bypassed this lock using the strike plate. I literally just unlocked it by using the tip of the strike plate. The bit rotates here and hits this lever tumbler and pushes it this way. There's got to be a spring inside of here. Down here would be my guess. And that, and it's connected, that is going to allow this bolt to come back. This plate back here. There's something obviously that retracts inside of here. Anyway, that's your ward cut, showing that barrel style key, and then your strike. There's a link below this video as seen here to the manufacturer's page. Before we get to that, let's take a look at the cut sheet. This is the document out of the manufacturer's catalog that shows the C8252, which is your right-hand version, and then the 8253, which is your left-hand version. These are only available key to like. It is a very different conversation as to how you could have these keyed differently. A very different conversation. So, well, actually, not really. Just quickly, if you change the depth or the length of this bit, and you changed the dimension of the tumbler inside of here, the lever tumbler, if you made that shallower, and you made the bit shorter, okay, the longer bit may not operate the lock. And the shallower bit in the longer lock may not operate it at all. So changing the length of the bit is certainly how you could make these keyed alike. The question would be is how many different changes would you actually have? Could you do 2 or 3? How long of a bit can you stick in there without redesigning the lock body? There's also a link to handing. This is our chart. I don't really know that this applies to this. Let's ignore it for now. There's also a link to the technical drawing, and here it is. This is showing a left hand. Bolt is thrown, showing a left hand. You're going to rotate this towards the left to get that to unlock. Gives you all the other dimensional properties of this as well. Now, finally, there is a link below this as seen here to the manufacturer's page. When you click on that, you'll be able to pull up not only all of the Compx products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation as seen here, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Other documents are here as well. If you're looking for locks that are small format, not small format, but a very petite footprint in nature for drawers, for cabinet doors, things of that nature, cam locks, Compx, and all of the different branded names underneath Compx would be solutions to that. Mailbox locks, etc. Jewelry cases, anything that's not man door related, you'll very likely find locking solutions in this catalog. Garage door locks. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it. In conclusion, if you have any questions on the C8252 furniture lock or any other Compx product, please feel free to reach out to us. It took a couple of calls into the factory to get this question resolved, but I can tell you that I have spoken to this manufacturer's tech support and customer service department several times, and they are always extremely helpful. We do ultimately get the answer from them, and to them for that I say thank you. Their locks really aren't obvious, and you'll hear in the conversation with the manufacturer that, 100 years ago, the distributor who was selling this, to them it was common sense. 21st century people such as me and you, we don't necessarily encounter these as much because this technology predates completely our current technology. The pin tumbler and the derivatives of pin tumbler and the different ways that has been evolved. This was made at a time when Thomas Jefferson was trying to lock a door, okay? During his time, late 18th century, early 19th century, pin tumblers, they existed 4,000 years ago in an Egyptian sort of lock, but it wasn't until basically the Civil War era when the modern pin tumbler with the cuts on the key was patented by Linus Yale Jr. So 100 years ago, when the pin tumbler wasn't the standard technology, yeah, people would have bumped into this. What hand is that? Oh, that's a right hand. People probably would have known that right off the top of their head because they dealt with it all day long. We don't. Any questions on this or any other Compx product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.